Welcome to Hue Vietnam. In this episode, I'm going to be showing you around this ancient city. There is so much to see and do here. Today I'm traveling from Da Nang to Hue. There are many options for getting to Hue, but I chose to take the train. I've traveled across Vietnam on the train before and I absolutely loved it because the scenery is phenomenal. But I got here to the train station this morning and found out my train's been delayed by about 2 hours. This isn't a problem. This was just a travel day and I'm still really looking forward to it. I just hope it's not going to be any longer than a 2-hour delay. The signage at the train stations in Vietnam can be confusing, so it's best to ask about your train at the information desk. There are several trains a day from Da Nang to Hue, and in the end, mine arrived without any further delay. I paid $14 for a comfortable seat, but it was crowded and a little difficult to find a place to store my bag. As we departed from Da Nang, I got an interesting view of some other parts of the city, but soon the rail line climbed up the scenic Hai Van Pass. Here the rails hang off the side of the mountain and you get stunning views of the beautiful beaches below. It's only about 65 miles from Da Nang to Hue, and the train takes about 2.5 hours. You can get to Hue quicker by car or bus, but I have always loved traveling by train. Moved from Hanoi and established as the capital of Vietnam in 1802 by Emperor Gi Long, Hue was the political, cultural, and religious capital of the Nguyen Dynasty, the last royal dynasty in Vietnamese history from 1802 until 1945. Immediately after arriving in Hue, the first thing I noticed was how much more crowded and hectic it is here compared to Da Nang. Hue sits on the banks of the Perfume River, which we will be exploring more later in this video. But first, we headed to Hue's #1 attraction, the Imperial City, also known as the Hue Citadel. Named a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1993, the Imperial City of Hue is actually a walled fortress of palaces. First we come to the Imperial Enclosure, complete with moat. The wall around the enclosure stretches for 6.2 miles. It is 21.5 feet high and 69 feet thick. Inside the Imperial Enclosure, we find the Imperial City, or the Citadel. Here you can find various palaces that house the imperial family, along with meeting rooms, shrines, tea gardens, and villas for the mandarins, or the government officials. It was here in the Imperial Palace where religious, royal, and governmental ceremonies were carried out by the Nguyen Dynasty. Inside the citadel was a third palace, known as the Forbidden Purple City. Here, all commoners, eunuchs, and even the emperor's wives were forbidden from entering. It was for the emperor exclusively. In addition to the remains of the palaces, there are several working temples and the massive bonsai garden located in the northernmost corner of the complex. There are so many beautiful entryways, like this one behind me, that are in the walls that surround all the different areas of the palace. They're all so intricate, weathered, and beautiful to look at. The Citadel is a very popular tourist destination, and by mid-morning it does get busy. But if you visit the areas near the entrance first, which is all the main tour groups include, you will be able to stroll the rest of the grounds without dealing with the crowds. Unless you visit the Imperial Palace in person, it's really hard to grasp just how big this complex is. If you do get a chance to visit here, make sure you give yourself plenty of time and try to come early because along about 10 o'clock it really starts to heat up. Directly across the Perfume River from the Citadel, there is a really nice walkway with gardens, sculptures, and memorials. This is also the place to catch a ride on a dragon boat, which is a great way to see the other important historic sites near Hue. This morning I am going to the Thien Mu Pagoda. It is located a little ways out of the city, so I'm going to be taking a cruise on the Perfume River on one of these beautiful dragon boats. Taking a dragon boat is an essential activity for any trip to Hue. During autumn, orchid flowers fall into the water and travel downstream, giving the river and the surrounding area a floral aroma, hence the name, the Perfume River. It took about 40 minutes to arrive at our first stop of the Thien Mu Temple. Sitting here on top of Ha Ki Hill is the Thien Mu Pagoda. Built in 1601, it is not only one of the most ancient and fascinating pagodas in Hue, but in all of Vietnam. One of the most striking features is the Phu Oc Du Yen Tower, which was erected in 1884. At 7 stories high, this is the tallest stupa in Vietnam, and it is also regarded as the unofficial symbol of the former imperial capital. More than just the beautiful Thien Mu Pagoda, this is a working monastery with about 80 monks that live here. This was also the home to the famous monk Thich Quang Duc. In the summer of 1963, the monastery at the Thien Mu Pagoda was a hotbed of political unrest against the pro-Catholic regime's discrimination of Buddhists. We've all seen that famous photo of the monk who committed self-immolation. On that fateful day, they held his funeral before heading to Saigon. He got in his small blue sedan, followed by several busloads of monks and Buddhist supporters. He sat down in this intersection, covered himself with gasoline, and struck the match. This was his ultimate form of protest. The car that Thich Quang Duc drove to Saigon on that fateful day is on display here at the monastery. From here, I continued up the Perfume River in search of 2 more parts of Hue's fascinating history. The tomb of Emperor Khai blends Eastern and Western styles. Khai was reportedly the Nguyen Dynasty's most eccentric and unusual king, reportedly spending vast sums on imported luxuries and even more on his tomb. Emperor Khai was Vietnam's second-to-last emperor, reigning from 1916 to 1925. His mausoleum is located on a beautiful hill about 8 kilometers from the center of Hue. His mausoleum took 11 years to complete and was finished in 1931 by Khai Din's son, 6 years after his death. The buildings and sculptures found at this tomb are strikingly beautiful, and there is nothing quite like it anywhere else in Vietnam. The room containing Khai Din's tomb is exceptionally beautiful and covered in an intricate display of stunning mosaics. Situated on the banks of the Perfume, about 12 kilometers from Hue City, you will find the fascinating and massive 44-acre mausoleum complex of Emperor Mang, who ruled from 1820 to 1841. Mang spent 14 years looking for a suitable spot for his tomb and died while it was being built. The grounds of this mausoleum feel like a park covered with old-growth trees and a very large lake. Part of the reason for making the grounds so large was to be sure that nobody knew his exact burial location. This tomb complex is enormous, and there's many buildings, there's underground tunnels, and so nobody knows exactly where he's buried, and he wanted it that way to protect his body from his enemies. While there is a large domed tomb with a huge door, he is not believed to be buried there. So when the men brought his body from the Imperial Palace in Hue out to here, they were killed. The men that dug the tunnels going all around the complex under the ground, they were killed. The men that took his body underground and placed it wherever they did, when they came back up to the surface, they were also killed. There is so much to see and do here in historic Hue. I feel like I've only just scratched the surface myself, and I think I will probably be coming back for a third time. I like it that much. If you like this video, please give us a like and subscribe because there's so much more to come.